Bitcoin, 60K, 64K, then back to 60K, now back to 61K. What the hell is going on? Coinbase goes down, but don't worry, your money is not lost. Apparently, it's a big surge in traffic. We have so much to talk about today. The bull market is here. Retail is starting to pile in. The ETFs are continuing to blow things out of the water. You have people like Peter Schiff coming to terms. You have Nayib Bukele in the green. Michael Saylor's in the green. I'm in the green. You're in the green. Let's get the show started. It's your boy, Big Rob, back in the house. Welcome to Sin City Crypto. If it's your first time checking us out, we're the entertainment-focused cryptocurrency channel where we take old, boring, and stale information and repackage that thing up in a fun and sexy way. My God, the ETFs put so much supply and demand pressure. They wanted so much Bitcoin. Coinbase literally just sold everybody's Bitcoin. They said, here, just take all the accounts. They grabbed all the Bitcoin from all the users and they sold it to BlackRock. That's what happened. The doom and gloom scenario that we were worried about came true. Yeah, that did not happen. Didn't. Anyways, we got Dan from the Chart Guys joining us. We're going to actually bring him on a little early today. We're going to get into the markets right away. But first, as I mentioned, we got to 60, 64K, back down to 58. Now we're back down to 60. And, well, 60K 2 hours ago is everything's great. 60K now, well, what is going on? With that being said, let's go ahead and bring on Dan from the Chart Guys to break down the charts. Dan, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I am phenomenal, man. What an exciting morning today was. Bitcoin got to 64K and then just immediately dropped back down. Coinbase went down, right? Everyone's freaking out. My balance showed zero. Rocco called me this morning. His balance was zero. I know you tweeted something saying this has happened multiple times because you use Coinbase to trade. Any thoughts on that real quick, and then we'll kind of jump into the charts.
Yeah, this is very normal. Back in 2017, 2018, this would happen every other week. Anytime there was massive volatility and stop losses would trigger, and it became a thing. And we actually developed some trading strategies around it. But I just want to stress to everybody that, myself being on Coinbase for 6.5 years, I really dislike the exchange. I think that they have done a terrible job innovating over the last 6.5 years for traders, but this is normal. And whether it's good or bad, that's something completely different. I just want to state again, this is normal. I would be surprised if it didn't go down in this kind of volatility. We expect it at this point.
Amazing. Well, not amazing, but yeah. So, Dan, I'm looking at $61,281 Bitcoin. I'm looking at the monthly chart here. Look at that monthly candle, right? And that's the biggest monthly candle we've had since October of 2021. Where are you looking at for Bitcoin targets? And what does the chart tell us how price action went down over the last couple hours?
So at this point, the main question is going to be when we sort this all out. And by sort it out, I mean, we have the massive move up, the massive move down, and then we trade within a tightening range. We call that an equilibrium. And so the question is, does that tightening range break bearish into further longer term consolidation, or does it break bullish and go right back up towards the recent highs? And generally, when you get this kind of blow off top, you look for longer term consolidation. And I need to stress, just looking at the chart, consolidation, on the daily time frame, we could drop down to 56,000 and be just fine. So, I know everybody gets used to things only going up and it's really exciting, but remind yourself that, from where we came from on the longer term time frames, there's tons of space to pull back and remain healthy. The weekly chart, we could pull back to 53,000 we find on the weekly chart. So just keep reminding yourself that so you don't panic if we do end up pulling back a bit more significantly. As far as the short term, we're getting this tightening range where we have the high, the low, lower high, higher low, testing some short-term resistance right now. And essentially what we do here is what I call the zoom out game, because eventually here we're going to go to the 15-minute and we're going to scout a 15-minute lower high and then higher low and tightening range. And then eventually we'll do it on the hourly and we'll look for the hourly to tighten up. And so this is just essentially the market, the metrics of supply and demand digesting the massive move that we've seen up over the last, really we're just digesting today's move at this point. But bigger picture, bulls are just fine. One more scenario to mention is One thing I would like to see, I made this tweet recently as well. If you gave me control, I would top out here, give me a monthly bull flag down towards 50,000 and then break out. Because what that would do is that would have bears jump in on a double top narrative that would cool off all the extended time frames that we have going right now. And it would just essentially ensure follow through on a breakout. Whereas if we break 69,000 from here, we're going to be massively overextended. I would not expect a lot of follow through, at least on that initial break. So that's what I'm looking at the short term. And again, one more time, I cannot stress enough, back burners. The best time to buy Bitcoin was hourly oversold for the daily bull flag. This morning, we had first 5-minute oversold leading into 10% continuation. I've talked about it a lot on this show. Cannot stress enough that in euphoria hype markets, the time to be buying is those back burners for the best risk reward.
Awesome. And then Dan, can we jump to some TradFi real quick? So we want to take a look at the where the S&P or the NASDAQ is, and then can you take a look at MicroStrategy stock? I know that thing, I believe, crossed $900. Well, what are the traditional markets doing? I know they're continuing to make all-time highs. Are you seeing any slowdown there?
No, this is the S&P 500. We're still in melt-up mode from October lows. This is the weekly chart. It's literally just straight up. And, you can't really have a more bullish environment. The S&P 500 has not confirmed a daily downtrend. And by that, I mean, a lower high and lower low. We haven't confirmed a daily downtrend in 4 months. And so when I'm looking at a chart, I like to make note of things and say, this has not happened in this amount of time. And then I know to set off a little light in my brain the next time it happens. But there's no red flags whatsoever. You got the financial sector approaching all-time highs. Healthcare is at all-time highs. So of course, semiconductors leading the way. So, I mean, this is your euphoria market right now as far as all systems go for the bulls. And we know how euphoria ends. It usually ends fast and hard, but there's no sign of it ending right now. And as far as MSTR is concerned, holding on really well. We dropped with Bitcoin, but we didn't even break the low of the day. That's pretty impressive. The mining stocks have been weaker, specifically Riot. But you compare Riot today and what it looks like on the Bitcoin trading, and you compare it to MSTR, and I'd say MSTR is holding on really well. The low here is just trying to be another hourly higher low for a continued uptrend. The big battle is going to be this psychological $1,000 level here. But again, same thing. We can pull back to 850 and still be fine on the daily chart. So just remind yourself that the harder you run up, the harder you can pull back, but there's also a ton of space to remain in a healthy uptrend because of how hard you ran up.
Yeah, and I see a couple gaps there which could potentially be filled.
Here's an interesting thought here with MicroStrategy. It's edging closer and closer to getting into the S&P 500. And so it's I think it's a couple $1 billion shy of getting.
It's currently ranked in the top 500.
No,
it's just not.
For publicly traded, it's at number 600, and as of last night, it was number 600, and it might have moved up. It might have crept up this morning, but it's very, very interesting if it gets into the S&P 500, because then at that point it will. Everyone that has S&P 500 index essentially is holding Bitcoin, right? In a certain percentage. I'm just saying, whether you want it or not, you're going to get exposure to Bitcoin if you got S&P 500. Kind of interesting, right?
Yeah. I think Coinbase is going to make its way up there as well.
You've got that a bit with Tesla right now, but that's definitely that's always a catalyst as far as then funds that want to match S&P 500 performance. It's always a good thing to be listed in the S&P 500. So that would be a good thing if they could pull that off.
Yeah. Dan, I entered into a Solana long position yesterday. Can you take a look at a Solana chart and what is that saying?
The key resistance here was 118.71. Looks like we got pretty close to it, but pulled back with this drop here. The big question for me is, when Bitcoin, the ideal scenario for altcoins is Bitcoin finds a top and then trades sideways. And so the question will be, let's go to the longer term time frame, 12-hour. If Bitcoin were to pull back a bit, set a higher low, and then just do this for a few days, if that happens and the dominance chart starts dropping, that then tells us that there's profits rotating around into the altcoin space. And of course, you want to see Sol BTC find a bottom. It's underperforming here over the last couple of months compared to Bitcoin. That needs to turn around. But as far as Sol itself is concerned, again, same massive volatility with Bitcoin here, 15-minute equilibrium. So again, when you get massive volatility, you get this balancing act between supply and demand. And so the next information that we're going to get here is which direction do we break this tightening range? If we break it bearish, we go to the next support down here at 105.36. But I would say, the ideal level for the bulls to hold, if we're talking bigger picture, longer term time frames, definitely want to maintain that 98.46 support. And you can see it's a fairly wide range here. But if we were to break that 15-minute bear, then I would be looking to, trade within this range into next week potentially.
Awesome. I'm looking at the crypto bubbles here. Rweave is up 46.3%. Can you take a look at AR? This is a cloud storage play, kind of a competitor to something like Filecoin. If someone's looking to get in on Rweave, but obviously, you don't want to hop on a 100-mile-per-hour moving train. You want to wait for it to get to the next stop. What are you seeing as far as, are we seeing any slowdown in this chart here?
So yeah, the volume's beautiful for the bulls. This is Binance, and you can see the average volume yesterday was, over the last 20 days, the average volume was 1.2 million. And today we put up, it's going to be 10 million plus by the time we're done here. So almost 1,000% increase in volume. Great sign, obviously, to have that volume behind that kind of move. As far as, we did just pull back a bit here. Did we get to 15-minute oversold? Not quite. You can see the 5-minute oversold bounces have been, the 5-minute oversold dips have been being bought. We had a little, almost a 10% bounce there, and then a significant bounce. So again, just when you're running hard, you want to wait for short-term oversold conditions to be looking for entries. And now the new key short-term support is that 2147 level. And the simple statement is if bulls hold that, they're in complete control. If we lose that level, I would then be looking for potentially first hourly oversold conditions to scout a daily higher low. But that's now a short-term guide for us.
Awesome. And then Dan, any charts that you have your eye on that kind of maybe a trade setup or something that you've been eyeing?
I've been watching RNDR just because anything that has this proximity to the all-time highs warrants extra attention, because we know blue sky breakouts have a lot of reward possibility if things get going. And now it's looking like we might be about to roll over, where we had a double top at $8, we'll call it, with the all-time high. And now the bulls are still defending support. You can see how many times we defended the $7 level here. But if that were to break, that would tell me weekly consolidation is probably coming. So essentially, I'm just watching this to see, is a temporary top being set on RNDR, which has been a lead bull over the past couple of weeks. And it's really just a battle between 7 and 8 right now. Another name, I loved the weekly setup on INJ, just the priming, just the tightening up and, getting ready to go here, holding weekly EMA 12. And so I still like this chart. The volatility today is certainly leaving its mark on these less liquid names. But if these bulls can keep above $40, I'm definitely looking for all-time highs to be in the picture. That weekly chart is about as healthy consolidation as you can ask for. It's just sideways consolidation. Oftentimes you get a big breakout and your consolidation is a big pullback, but this is very healthy, just sideways, balancing the scales again between supply and demand is trying to win out. So my simple statement is, as long as weekly EMA 12 is support, these bulls are just fine and eyeing that all-time high.
Awesome. See a lot of big wicks there. So a lot of volatility, like you mentioned. Dan, thank you so much. If people want more of Dan and what you do, where can they find you?
Chartguys.com, Chartguys on YouTube. Just did a live stream before hopping on here, and at Chartguys on Twitter. Definitely using Twitter a lot more for intraday content.
Awesome. Dan, we appreciate you having on as always, my friend. Thank you so much, and we look forward to chatting with you again. Thanks
for having me. See you next time.
Take care. All right. Want to give a couple shout outs here. So a lot of gifted memberships. Pet Brett, gifted membership times 5. We also have our channel sponsor I'd like to give a big shout out to, Cam's Blue Wire Technology. If you want to learn how they can help your business scale and grow, visit bluewiretech.com. A lot of love today from our sponsors. from our community members. We had Mike Volmer gift another 5. And then my ninja, what's up, my ninja? 5 memberships as well. So big shout out to you guys. Also, big shout out to the Gravy Train.
Gravy Train.
Everyone was asking about you yesterday.
What were they saying?
They're like, where's Ashley?
I was busy.
She was busy, guys. Sorry.
I was busy. Yeah.
Rocco, how you doing, man? Doing good?
Good. Here.
Right here. No XRP shirts today, huh?
Bitcoin Day. Why are you gonna put an
I
XRP?
don't know.
XRP tomorrow.
Something you would do, I guess.
It
Robin,
goes
how
to
you doing
$10.
today?
I'm doing amazing.
Wow.
I can't stop just staring at the charts, man. I'm just over here, just
Stare at this.
a lot going on.
Stare at this. The 9 spot Bitcoin ETFs see $2 billion volume day for the second straight day. And this is a tweet from the Kobayashi letter. We just witnessed history. It's only been half of the trading day, and these 9 Bitcoin ETFs have already broken their daily trading volume record. This is today. Today. There's been a total of $2.6 billion in volume today, and the day is not even over yet. If current volume persists, this puts us on track for the first day with $5 billion plus in Bitcoin ETF flow. There are also 4 Bitcoin ETFs in the top 20 by volume, according to Bloomberg's Eric Balkunis. Bitcoin ETFs are suddenly some of the most popular ETFs in the world. Talk about a turn of events, and this is the chart you like to show. And, man, it's just smashing all-time records. And then we have this from yesterday's flows. BlackRock brought in $520 million, the highest day they've had. And I'm looking here, it looks like ever, right? The biggest inflows they've had ever came yesterday from BlackRock, $520 million, Fidelity 126, and Grayscale ticked up a little bit to 125 million in the outflows. We have this from Peter Schiff. The most likely explanation for the weakness in gold stocks is that investors are selling them to buy Bitcoin ETFs instead. That means Bitcoin has basically become a bet against gold. So when gold inevitably breaks out in 25 years, the money to buy gold stocks will come from Bitcoin ETFs. Do you agree with him?
I mean, he finally woke up to store value, right? Here's the thing. That's what gold's, at least the gold ETF. There's obviously other use cases when it comes to gold. You have obviously jewelry. You have utility when it comes to electronics. But realistically, most people are buying gold in the publicly traded form in the ETFs just as a hedge against inflation, or at least a diversification in their portfolio. And what people are looking for the return in their investment is compounded and more ideally suited with Bitcoin in that investment thesis, right? And so if you're sitting down and you're talking to your investment manager, you're talking to a financial manager, you're looking at, why should I have exposure to gold, right? Whatever use case you come up with, whatever reasoning you have, you can say, hey, I just want a commodity. I wanted something that doesn't trade against the stock market, something that's hedged against inflation, store value. Whichever narrative you decide to use, Bitcoin does that more efficiently across the board on all of those parallels, with the exception of utility and
The exception of gold teeth, right?
yeah. You can go Bitcoin teeth, baby.
Oh.
Just put a bunch of USB sticks up here.
Ledger, Nano, Trezor. I want to point something out. So, obviously the numbers are going up. The viewer counts are going up. I'm assuming there's some of you that are watching this show that maybe don't know anything about crypto or Bitcoin. It's your first time. You want to know more information. You come across our live show. I want you to know that if you don't understand something that we're talking about, put it in the chat. Either we'll see it and answer it, or someone from the community will. We're a pretty tight-knit community. We're all trying to help each other grow, learn, and make money. And so be a part of that. Be active in the chat. If you have questions, no questions is a stupid question. Just kind of want to throw that out there, because as we bring new people on, as we onboard new people into the space, I think it's important to make sure we keep our eye on them and make sure, hey, that they're understanding what we're talking about.
And they also can pop up on the Discord where everybody's.
Yeah, exactly. Discord as well. A lot of good stuff happening in Discord. Speaking of a lot of good stuff, Jim Cramer's at it again. Yeah.
Was gonna.
Let's listen to what Jimmy had to say. Hey, Jimmy.
There's underperformance, okay? Okay, it's depressing.
I don't want to.
What has Bitcoin ever done for mankind? Are you ever on a Bitcoin phone? Watson, come here, I need you. I mean, what is it?
Well, coming up, United
How about
Healthcare
Revolve?
is apparently.
What has Bitcoin ever done for mankind, Robin?
That sounds like somebody that's just so upset.
They're scorned.
Let me tell you, I've had some angry ex-girlfriends, and every time they get really mad, they always just randomly spew out just toxicity, like you don't ever do anything nice for me. That's what I feel like. I feel the dude is so scorned and injured and damaged. He is just saying, "You don't have a phone." I mean, tell me he doesn't sound like an upset significant other that has nothing, no traction, right?
The least you can do is have a phone, Robin. Damn it. You know, I want to go back to the Peter Schiff question real quick because he didn't answer my question. Well, I guess wasn't specific with my question. My question was, we're seeing outflows in gold ETFs and inflows in Bitcoin ETFs. We can draw a compare. We can draw we can draw a line and say, hey, yeah, the money's flowing out and that money's going into Bitcoin. Do you agree with what Peter Schiff is saying? Do you think he has a point to when money will start flowing out of Bitcoin, it's going to flow back into gold? Do you think that's where the money's coming from? Or do you think this is fresh money? Because the markets are making all-time highs.
Bro, the thing is that this is the 5-year chart here, okay? 5-year chart on gold, right? So if you would have bought gold in 2020, it crossed $2,000. And well, the hedge against inflation over the last 4 years is back at $2,000. And so, I mean, yes, over time, it is a commodity. Over time, it's going to go up and to the right. I mean, you can see here that it has 10x'd essentially since the 90s. But still, it's not performing. It's not performing as well as it's supposed to against the dollar, right? It being a hedge against inflation. Let me ask you a question, David. Has there been any inflation from 2020 to 2024?
Yes.
Like, has the dollar went down at all in value in the last 4 years?
Well, the money supply was shrinking for a while. It was.
Since 2020 to 20 now. Remember everything that happened in COVID?
Okay, yeah, it's up.
Okay.
It's up a lot.
Let's think about everything that we've ever purchased in the last 6 months. Think about if it's more expensive than it was in the past. Is rent more expensive? Car more expensive? Gas more expensive than it was in 2020? Answer is a resounding yes. And so if you're a hedge against inflation, well, you're not doing a good job because it's the same price as it was in 2020. Right? Where was Bitcoin in 2020? Well, and Bitcoin was around $20,000 at that point. And well,
In
now
2020?
in 2020, yes.
No, it wasn't. Like 3,500 when Bitcoin got to its lows.
Well, this is a long year, but in the beginning of 2020, it was it did hit the 3,000, but towards the very end of 2020, it got up to 20,000. But the thing is that Bitcoin has outperformed the dollar in the last 4 years as a quote unquote hedge against inflation, and yet gold has not really returned anything when it comes to the dollar and inflation in the last 4 years. And so you got to think about that whole thesis. You got to say, hey, is gold the best instrument to protect my money from inflation and from printing and from debasement via the U.S. government just printing money to infinity? I don't think the answer is a yes. And maybe it's a better option than holding dollars in a savings account. I agree there, but is it outpacing inflation? No.
You know what it is? Bitcoin.
You know, JR had a question, Robin. Said, are you nervous at all that Bitcoin is almost at all-time highs and most altcoins are not even close? I know alt season and whatnot, but seems like alt should be higher right now.
Oh, man. When this thing stops, when Bitcoin consolidates, and I don't know where it's going to consolidate at, but when Bitcoin stops moving up and it just trades in a channel for 3 weeks, my God, the money, the profits, everybody's in the green, bro. Everybody is in the green.
Can you explain how that works?
There is only
explain how that works for maybe.
there is only okay. I'm gonna explain how this works. Money moves down the market cap list, essentially, right? People make money in Bitcoin, and then they take their profits and move it into Ethereum. They take their profits, and people in Ethereum take their profits there, move it into speculative alts, layer ones. Then they go further down the list, higher risk, and it makes sense, right? I put in $5,000, now I'm all of a sudden I'm at 15, right? And I'm like, hey man, I started with 5, I'm at 15. Let me take some off the table, or let me keep it in Bitcoin. Let me move a little bit into Ethereum. This thing's probably going to move next, right? The ETF's going to make a move. It's going to go up. It's going to outperform Bitcoin in the short term, right? And the thing is so then you move it into there, and then all of a sudden you're up massively. You know, that extra 5,000 you put into ETH is up as well. And then you take profits there. Anyways, these just keep spilling over. But generally, you're not selling you're not exiting right when the candles are moving up, right? Nobody, you think about this. When you wake up and you see your portfolio just mooning, you're like, ooh, you see your position on whatever coin it is just going up and up and up and up. Usually you don't sell at that point, right? The psychology of a trader, of a person, of an individual.
You get greedy, right?
Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's greedy. You're just like, how high is this going to go? But when it stops and then it consolidates and then all of a sudden you're in the green and it's been trading in this range for a couple weeks, 3 weeks, whatever it is. Now you're like, all right, where am I going now? You start getting bored, right? And the thing is that that's what happens when people get in a profit. Bitcoin's previous all-time high, 67,000. We were essentially $3,000 away from the all-time high previously, and currently $6,000 away. So everybody that has ever purchased Bitcoin, with the exception of a very small percentage of people that bought the top and still held, very, very small percentage.
Which if you did that, I might add, you're soon going to be in the green.
Yeah, you're about to break even. But everyone that's bought Bitcoin, essentially, over the 90% of the people out there, I'd say probably over 95. I don't have the metric in front of me, but they are all in the green. They're all in the profit.
Robin,
yep.
You said everyone who bought Bitcoin. I actually have video of one person who actually threw his entire retirement savings account into the Bitcoin spot ETF. Proud of you, man. Real proud of you, man. You know, we talked about this yesterday. You know, you brought it up. You said TradFi people who are used to 8% gains a year, they're happy, right? They open up their account, they see they're up 30%, and then conversation starts. And then they go to their financial advisor and they say, let's allocate more. And then their friends hit them up and like, yeah, I'm up 40%. That's only going to kind of snowball, right? I mean, add that in, add retail coming in, right? Add the halving.
ETF went live at 43,000, dropped down to 40,000 and some change, essentially 41,000. It is now well over 50% returns off of opening day prices. And so over the course of 7 weeks, anybody and everybody that had exposure to Bitcoin in the stock market's up. Anyone that bought it when it first launched is up over 50%. And it's gotta be the story of the day in the trading circles, right? And then on top of that, I'd like to say to all of you on Wall Street and traditional traders, welcome to the Euphoria. This is what Bitcoin does. This is what happens here. We go up by a lot in a short period of time. Prepare yourself for the drop that will come as well. But Robin, pullbacks are only short-lived, and then we will Robert, I think Nana asked an interesting question. Said if institutions are buying and not planning on a little more down, Rocco, it's towards the bottom, right above Mike Volmer. Nana, right there. If institutions are buying and not planning on selling anytime soon, where is the liquidity going to come from into the alts? I guess I'll take this one, right? Remember, Bitcoin was at an $800 billion market cap before the ETF came in. So there's a lot of liquidity, a lot of people who bought Bitcoin way before. You got to remember, it's been 14 years of Bitcoin trading that's happened before the ETF. And so who knows, with the Ethereum ETF potentially coming, with a basket of crypto ETF potentially coming, and other altcoins like maybe Solana, Avalanche, XRP, you name it, there's going to be those vehicles as well for them to transfer directly from their Bitcoin ETF into those other ETFs. It's just the same way the markets work, right? You make a crap load of money in the stock market, you pull it out, you put it into scarce assets like real estate, like gold, like Bitcoin. Well, if you're already in Bitcoin, guess what? You're going to take profits on your other investments, like the stock market, and do the same thing. And so we're in this speculative state, right? The speculation is never going to go away. People are going to look for those 20, 30x gains. And now you've introduced a whole separate subset of people who've been happy with 7 and 9% a year for the last 40, 50 years. They're saying, hey, I just got like 30% in a month and a half. And that's not even the best performing cryptocurrency. Let me see what else this is about. You know, people love nothing more than making money, at least. Yeah, I'll just to double down on kind of what you said. Only in the last 7 weeks has Wall Street really been traders had exposure to Bitcoin. So every person that's bought Bitcoin prior to that is essentially a Bitcoin degen, right? I mean, in some form, right? You had to purchase on some exchange. You had to go create an account, move money around from your Bank of America or Wells Fargo, whatever it is. You had to go from your traditional bank and move it into a crypto exchange. You had to buy Bitcoin there. That's been through the entirety of the history of Bitcoin, with the exception of the last 7 weeks. So every person that's had Bitcoin up until that point is now making money, right? They're in the green. And that ecosystem, it's kind of like, you know, when the meme coins craze popped off, which, by the way, Pepe is absolutely ripping lately, bro. Yeah. It's up almost 2x. Or no, it's almost up it's up 2.5x. It's up over 150% on the week, up 40% on the day, or at least it was this morning. I haven't looked at it in the last hour, but
Here we go, Pepelito.
look at that. Look at that week chart. Bro.
Week chart. Yeah.
Yeah, just
Yeah, 170% in the last 7.
so basically think about it like a meme coin. The people that bought early, they're millionaires, right? They might have bought a few $1,000s. They might have bought $10,000. They might have bought $5,000 worth of meme coin. And then all of a sudden, when all of the euphoria comes in at the very end of the price movement, the early investors are now crazy rich, right? As you always hear the story, like, oh, people that bought Pepe and Dogecoin and Shiba Inu when it first came out, they're all millionaires, right? It's the same thing with Bitcoin. So think about Bitcoin now that this price euphoria is popping off, ETFs are freaking mooning. Everyone that bought Bitcoin before stock market are now realizing massive gains, and those are the people that play in the altcoin ecosystem. So if you think that this is going to be pigeonholed strictly into the stock market, you're mistaken, because stock market's not selling. Price is going up. The people that are going to sell are going to be people that are degens. Also, I do want to give a lot of love to the chat. We've had a lot of gifted memberships. We had Pet Brett giving another 5 gifted. We had Alex O Crypto with a $5 super chat saying that Bitcoin hit all-time highs in Canada. And then also we had Junior who dropped a $5 super chat as well. And then he says, "You're nervous about
I already went over.
yeah." So there you go. So yeah, man. And then if you're new here, say hello so we can drop an hola back at you. We got Cooler J, Oliver. Also, we have Nana, which we shouted out earlier. Art H, Ultra Crip, or Ultra CDP, Purva Vita, Hugo, XXI Gaming, Abel Matthew, Vitality B, and to all of you, hola! Welcome to Sin City Crypto. You know, I see a lot of good questions in here, man. I like it. Cooler J said, how do I buy Pepe? A couple things I want to highlight here. Well, first of all, Cooler J, all you got to do, my friend, is go to CoinMarketCap.com, type in search here, you type in Pepe. And then once you click on markets right here, it'll tell you exactly where Pepe is listed. So, you know, I believe, is it on Coinbase? I don't see it on here, but it's on Binance. Anyways, just know, guys, when something is pumping massively, it's going to have a pullback. It's just the ebbs and flows of the market, right? The last thing you want to do is jump on a coin that's already up 100% in the last 2 days, wait for a cool off, and then jump in if you'd like to. Speaking of cool off, Bitcoin suddenly plummets 7% after hitting 64,000, triggering over $600 million in liquidations. And here is what that looks like. Over the last 4 hours, $424 million in liquidations. Over the last 12 hours, $644 million. You might say, well, it's a lot of the shorts, right? Actually, it's about 50-50 on the 4 hour, on the 12 hour. On the 4 hour, more longs were getting liquidated. Interesting. Now, a lot of people have drawn a curious line here, Robin. They've drawn very interesting here. Coinbase users experience zero account balances amid a Bitcoin surge. So Coinbase acknowledged that the issue, assuring users their assets were safe. And if you open up your Coinbase app, you'll see your balance up there again. But it was like the same time Bitcoin started tanking that Coinbase went down. And then when Bitcoin started going back up is when Coinbase went back up. Robin, I got a little tinfoil hat going on here. Coinbase crash wipes almost $100 billion of Bitcoin market cap as the price crashes from $64,000 to $58,200. And I believe this is Bitcoin on the 30-minute chart. Is it fishy? It's a little weird, right? You can say it's a coincidence, right? On the way down and on the way up.
Okay, so you're telling me a publicly traded company
I don't know what I'm telling you.
Okay.
I don't know what I'm telling you.
Well, I'm just saying there's no other explanation than if you're saying that this wiping, you literally said,
Robin, I'm presenting you evidence and I'm asking you to
and
draw
what
a
I'm
conclusion.
saying is that if your evidence, which you're alluding to, is that Coinbase manipulated the markets, that first of all is illegal, is fraud, and they're a publicly traded company. It would be, especially in the direction that Coinbase is going, where their stocks are crossing all-time highs, they're in massive amount of profit, they're winning against the SEC, the bull market's back. If you think that they're putting all of their companies, the entire history, and they've been around since 2012. You put in their entire history, the 11 years on the line, so that way they can crash the price of Bitcoin intentionally to clear out some leverage trading, which they don't even have a lot of leverage trading. They don't even offer leverage trading realistically. And so, so you that's your case. Now, what I think happened is exactly what Dan was saying, is that time and time again, over and over, when you get massive surge of users on your platform, and this doesn't even have to, we can expand outside of crypto with this. You see, all of a sudden, some website gets 10x amount of users signing up or hopping on, the website crashes, right? It's just normal, and you see it time and time again, no matter what it is. Like it could be some kind of refund thing, it could be something that's going viral, and then all of a sudden everyone heads over to a website, crash, burn, breaks. It's gonna be no different for crypto. Now all of a sudden you have the entire Wall Street over here trying to log into their Coinbase, and
But Wall Street doesn't have a Coinbase.
no, but what I'm saying is that like there's a lot of people in the traditional markets that have picked up a Coinbase account. Now maybe they saw it was going to be listed on. Maybe they saw it was going to be listed on Wall Street through the ETF, and they're like, "Hey, man, I'm not going to go buy the ETF version. I'm going to go buy the underlying asset, right?"
And yeah, man. I mean, it's just users, man, flooding the system. That's all it is, bro. Don't overthink
Yeah,
it.
you know, it's
Because
obvious-
also Binance and KuCoin had outages too.
Yeah.
Do you think all three of them got on the phone? Like, all right, ready? Take it.
Listen, dude, I just presented you the info. That's all I did. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying they manipulated the markets. It's just a little odd.
Now, what I did think happened is that a lot of people saw their account balance at zero, freaked out, closed positions, sold stuff, traded, whatever it is, and I think the price reflected that. I think
Guys, for an
liquidations.
exchange to go out in a bull market,
It's very common.
for an exchange, no, I mean like to go out of business. To like become insolvent, to pull a Voyager or an FTX in a bull market is very unlikely.
It's just not. It doesn't happen.
But it doesn't mean you should trust every exchange and leave your money on there, right? But you know, still. So can ETH get to 5K this year? Yeah. I would say at the very minimum. We have an update from our friend Sam in Yale. Guess what he's doing in jail, Robin, besides the obvious? He's shilling Solana. He has shared crypto market tips with the guards, recommending investments into digital coin Solana. Is this Solana pump, Robin, due to the inmates and due to the what are they called? Prison guards. What's the name for them? Anyways,
Prison guards, yeah.
Prison guard.
Should we be thanking Sam Bankman-Fried for the
Hey,
Solana?
do you really want to rug pull a prison guard?
That's a good point.
Let's say.
That's a good point. It's just
Yeah, man. Might be something to that, man.
Yeah.
If he can bribe his way if he can make every prison guard financially
set.
yes, if
Maybe
he can
he'll
make,
get some
I don't want to
extra
say
playtime
rich,
in the-
I don't want to say millionaires, but
You think he'll get some extra playtime on the playground?
bro, I mean, think about it. Imagine if you're a security guard or a prison guard, and you're like, "Hey, Sam, I got 10 racks, man. What should I do with it?"
Solana.
And all of a sudden, you're a multimillionaire. You know, you're gonna get some posh treatment up in prison, bro.
That's a good point. You think he's trading financial investment advice for favors for maybe a pack of cigarettes?
Maybe he's
knows?
probably getting that good commissary food.
There we
Maybe
go.
he's getting that gravy on top of the mashed potato.
It's
Instead of-
correction officer is the right name.
You know, Robin, from someone that's in jail to someone that should be in jail, here's what Elizabeth Warren had to say. A lot of people are saying this is her extending an olive branch to the crypto industry. I don't think it is. Let's listen to what Miss Warren had to say.
I want to collaborate with the industry. What I don't understand is why the industry seems to be saying that the only way that they can survive is if there's plenty of space for the drug traffickers and the human traffickers, and the terrorists and the ransomware scammers and the consumer scammers and the rogue nations. North Korea, that is financing about half of its nuclear missile program.
Anything
with
else?
crypto.
She's just using buzzwords.
yes, she's just like every word that you can think of. She's like nuclear radiation, aliens, Sasquatch. You want Sasquatch?
People with smelly feet.
If you want
anything.
crypto, you want Sasquatch. Like
anything.
Hold on, she's not done yet. Hold your
Okay.
horses here, guys.
Okay.
All of that has to be left open.
Okay.
You know, keep in mind, in our financial system, pretty much everybody follows the same set of rules. I'm talking banks and credit unions and credit card companies, gold traders and stockbrokers. Private equity now has to follow the rules. Precious metal dealers, Venmo, Western Union, but not crypto. My view of the world is same kind of activity, same kind of risk, should have the same regulation. I'm not looking for fancier regulation for them. I'm not looking for anything tougher for them. I just want a level playing field here.
Yeah, I'll say this. If you were just to take crypto as far as a broad statement out of her thesis, right? And you were just to say, hey, and you replace it with crypto exchange, I actually would be kind of on board with that. I think they should have
collaborate with
I
the
think they should
industry.
have very similar regulation when it comes to money service providers. The same way as like charter banks, the same thing with your payday loan companies, your Western Unions. I think that exchanges should operate like that. But I think that's where it should stop. Because they basically move commodities around, and I think they should be regulated in the same way that other institutions that move commodities around operate. And so if you sell gold, go have the same regulation. If you sell Bitcoin, you sell gold. Right? But what I don't think is that you sit there and go talk to Mother Earth and say, hey, we're going to have to change this whole gold property thing. Like, you can't just be creating gold out here. Like, we have to control this. Like, no, gold is created by the universe in a certain way, right? You can't change it. You can't, as a politician, be like, well, we decide how what goes into plastic. We want to, like, no. Is created. It's a commodity. It's done in a certain way by nature. And you know what? Bitcoin is a commodity and is created in a certain way by math and technology. It is decentralized and nobody can control it. So whether or not you want to sit here and throw up your hands and be all pissed off and be like, hey, Bitcoin isn't following the same rules as all, they're like, wait, it's a commodity. It doesn't follow any rules.
I feel like it should change a little bit her stand from anti-crypto now, maybe because,
Oh, you think?
Yeah, with the John Didon
election
yeah,
up?
I think so. That's what I think that's what happened.
I think I agree. I think she's soft.
It's a political move.
Look,
No.
I don't hate it. Okay.
It doesn't want to know everybody to be
I
fair.
just want everyone to be equal.
I love how she just
We're not equal, Liz.
she machine gunned out there every
right.
single buzzword there was, bro. I mean, it was all out there, bro.
It was. You know what else is all out there is AVAX. So I'm looking at the Avalanche chart here. So I entered into a couple long trades yesterday, and I'll share this with you guys. So this is on the BingX. So I entered a 75x Solana long position, up 24% there. Entered in a 6x long position on AVAX, actually down now, but I'm not too worried about that one. That one liquidation is at $33. And then the Matic one that we've been in for quite some time, we're up 27% on that one. But here is what I saw on the AVAX chart. So we are currently looking at what's called a spinning top, which tells you there's indecision in the market. But what it's important to note here is using the Lux Algo price action concepts is we had a change of character here on the structure of the Avalanche chart, meaning we've made higher highs and higher lows, changing the structure of a longer term downtrend to more of an uptrend. And you can see here, this was on Saturday where we built support on top of this $35 level. We essentially flipped the last couple of local highs into local lows. Now, where is price going to go? If price does come back to this area of around $35.34, you can see here a lot of volume there, and majority of it is buying volume. You can see here a lot of big selling volume here, and Avalanche is still holding over $38, which is pretty good. We have money flow, hopefully, starting to turn green on this oscillator. And as far as RSI, kind of right in the middle, neither oversold nor overbought. So Avalanche has room to run, and we got quite a space to go until we hit our premium zone, which was hit in December of 2023, and that is exactly where we topped out. And that number is on the lower bound. That number is around $48. $48. So that is where I'll be looking to ladder out some of our position here, if not a little bit, right around $43, which was the last local high that we had back on February 15th, Thursday, February 15th. So here's the thing, though. Essentially, in a bull market, as long as you're smart and you're on the higher time frames and you make sure your liquidation point is below a strong support zone, you're going to make money. You're going to make money. There's no way you're not going to make money unless you get greedy or you don't follow the basic rules of trading, right? And taking profit. So, yeah. Then we have this, Rob.
I do want to just a quick shout out to the chat. Let's get a Ola train. We got over 600 people watching.
Let's go.
Over 300 likes. So over 50% like ratio as well. So now I call on you to support the channel and support the chat with frivolous spam Put OLA or Ola in the chat. I'll put the first
What's the
one on
difference,
here.
Robin? Just curious.
He just wanted to
You're
yell.
putting it in the chat.
It's Portuguese. I'm putting it in the chat. I'm trying to.
No,
get
I'm
the,
saying,
trying
what's
to
the
get
difference
train
if they
going.
put Ola in the chat or if they put Ola in the chat? What's the difference?
I think it's just very dramatic that you had to yell it.
Oh, exclamation points?
It's you know what? Bitcoin's nearing all-time high. I'm very excited.
I will tell you, Robin was very
But-
juiced up this morning.
Let's
He
see how
called me
many
on my way.
Olas we can get in the chat. I think we can get about a couple hundred Olas, right? What do you think? 100 Olas, plus or minus?
We
200.
got
Are you gonna
600
count
people
them?
in here. We better get 100 Olas.
Yeah, I was excited this morning, man.
I know you were.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
All right. Let's go and talk about this. Bitcoin's price could reach $200,000 next year, predicts trader who accurately called the 2018 bear market. And his name is Peter Brandt, a highly experienced and respected figure in the world of trading and market analysis, has recently suggested that the price of the flagship crypto Bitcoin could explode upward to touch the 200K mark by August or September of next year. My worst case scenario, Robin, for the last year, for the absolute worst case scenario for Bitcoin's new all-time highs going into this market is going to be 150. Oh, dang.
$200 super chat.
Bingo, my boy Jimmy.
I better get $1 for my Capri Suns.
You know what?
You know, we got all these sophisticated drinks in the studio, and then
Proof of dollar.
Score.
There you go. I don't want to hear you coming at me and saying I didn't pay you. Anyways,
what flavor Capri Sun you got today?
Strawberry kiwi. It's not the good one. I know. Yeah.
anyways.
But you want to be just like me. You were drinking one
I
earlier.
was drinking. I finished mine.
Yeah.
It's on the floor.
You ever put the straw on the bottom? It's a lot easier.
What?
The
Can you
straw
just
on the-
not get it?
You put it in the
other one?
bottom of the Capri Sun instead of the top.
What kind of sociopath doesn't? There's literally a hole for you to straw in. Anyways, Rob, my worst case scenario now has moved from 150 to 200K. 200K is my worst case minimum Bitcoin gets there, right? We're talking about, are we going to hit 100K before the halving? We were having that conversation this morning. What are your numbers at, Robin? What is your worst case scenario? What is your best case scenario? And what do you think we're going to get to before the halving?
I think worst case scenario going into a bull market, I would say 125,000. And
That's your worst case scenario?
Yeah.
So the 2x from here is your worst case scenario?
yeah, I mean, I
Okay.
like I said, worst case scenario, I think the least likelihood of happening.
Okay.
I think like you look at a bull market, you look at where we're at. I think 2xing the previous all-time high is underwhelming. Now, you can say this, the previous all-time high in 2017 was 20K. The next all-time high was the 3x away, right? And you get diminishing returns every cycle. So if you got a 3x from 2017 to 2020, before that you were at 8,000, right? You were at 8. So in 2014 you'd hit 2013, 2014, you hit $8,000 Bitcoin. And so you had got over a 3x. No. What was it? Hold on, let me just get some context here. Let me take a look.
What are you trying to look at?
Historical price is okay. So we had hit 20,000, right? But prior to hitting 20,000 in the market before, we hit okay. So it was $1,000. So okay, so 2013 we hit $1,000, and then in 2017 we got $18,000, basically just shy of 20K. So we'd got a
17x.
17x. The following cycle, we got from say 20 to 60. We went down from 17x down to a 3x. And so if we get a diminishing returns this cycle.
Well, Robin, but we talked about how this cycle was not like we've seen Bitcoin.
This cycle is different. This time is different.
No. I'm saying the last cycle. I mean, look at this chart, okay?
I agree. If you're asking my worst case scenario, my worst case scenario is that you get a 2x from previous all-time high. And if you look historically, I'm just saying, if you look historically with diminishing returns, it actually would line up with that number. Now, I do think that there's a surge in liquidity. You've plugged in the world's largest market, the New York Stock Exchange, that has credibility globally. So if I'm going to give you my worst case scenario, a 2x, which lines up with the diminishing returns in one cycle to the next, I think that's even still a pretty bullish narrative for a conservative number, right?
Bitcoin should have got to 100K last cycle.
It didn't. It's not that it should have. It didn't.
It should have. With everything Sam Bankman-Fried was doing?
No, but here's the thing. It would have been another company that would have mismanaged funds. It could have been Terra Luna
Not even
exploding.
mismanaging
It could have been okay. First of all, FTX had nothing to do with Terra Luna.
There literally was a memo to suppress the price of Bitcoin because of what they were doing.
Yeah, but Terra Luna was going to collapse anyways. So you think that adding more volatility to the market?
I'm not talking about Terra Luna.
Okay. With Terra Luna also crashed Celsius. Terra Luna crashed Three Arrows Capital, and made Voyager. Terra Luna also had a hand
FTX?
in FTX. So if you simply want to point the finger at the same thing it's the same thing the politicians are doing. Everything that's wrong with crypto is FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried. It's not, man. There's such a larger dichotomy, such a larger space. And what we saw was a mismanaging of money. We saw people taking out loans and issuing out loans with zero collateral, billions of dollars from respected institutions. And if you think that if Sam Bankman-Fried happened to not exist, would have made Bitcoin hit over $100,000, I don't agree with that. Someone else would have stepped into the fray. And you can sit here, you can dump $1,000 into a parking lot, and you can say, well, this convicted felon over here, he stole it all. If it wasn't for him, the money wouldn't have disappeared. Like, no, somebody else would have walked by and started scooping that crap up. The thing is that if there's an opportunity there, somebody's going to take it. And the opportunity to mismanage money was there, and it was leveraged and spread across everyone. Everyone was greedy. Every company was greedy. We were greedy. And it was going to crash regardless. And I don't subscribe to the idea that one person suppressed an entire cryptocurrency market. I don't.
I do, but we don't have time to get into that today. Maybe we'll get into that tomorrow. But if you just look at the way Bitcoin moved, every cycle versus how it moved the last cycle, this is not normal Bitcoin cycle, right? But anyways,
but here's the thing: in 2017, it didn't have any people didn't even know what it was, right? In 2017, it was still a new asset. The reason that the price crashed was because of the block wars, where they were talking about block size. You had multiple forks. People didn't understand which fork they're going to go with. I mean, obviously now in hindsight, you're like, yeah, the Bitcoin Cash, that was a stupid idea. But at the time, there was a lot of people behind it. There were miners behind it. But then at some point, a miner had to make a decision. Do I go with the main chain here, with the one that we know now, or do I follow this other fork? We've seen it time and time again. So there was uncertainty in the markets. And so each cycle, it's so new. You can't look at the past. You can't say 2017 was different. Well, 2020 was different. In 2017, it wasn't even a real asset. In 2013, it was traded on a Magic the Gathering freaking website.
Are you saying
Mt. Gox was designed to trade digital playing cards. I'm just saying that this market has not developed. And if you look at historical data and say, hey, this has broken the trend, it is now a completely different asset. Look what happened before. I don't believe any of that. I think that as the markets grow, the volatility decreases. I think that's just 101 on markets, right? As a market grows, volatility decreases because it takes more money to move the markets. And so with that in mind, Bitcoin is growing. The volatility is the ups and downs are going to be more subdued. Now, will we get a major pump lately, right now because of the surge of liquidity. Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, I don't think for a second that we might underperform our expectations. Everyone expected us to hit 100,000 last bull market. Everyone was talking about it. And so if everyone talks about us hitting 200,000, and then we're like, look in hindsight, we're like, damn. Same thing when the ETF went live. Everybody thought it was going to hit 60K right away, and it dumped, and everyone's like, we didn't see that coming. And so the markets do what you don't think they're going to do.
Robin's a bear here, 120K, huh? All right.
You said my absolute most bearish scenario, doom and gloom.
It's less than a 2x from previous all-time highs.
Yes, and previous all-time high from 2017 to 2020 was a 3x. So I'm just saying
You want to
that.
make a bet on that?
Huh?
You want to make a bet?
I'm not betting on the absolute doomsday scenario.
scared.
He's like, okay, so you're saying there's a 1% chance it goes to this number. Let's bet on it. Like, bro, like, what kind of sense does that make? Now, if I said there's a 90% chance this will happen, then sure, I'll take it.
We're saying there's a 1% chance it only gets to 120.
You already have a bet for Ethereum.
I know. I like taking as much.
Yeah, I think there's probably, I'd say a 8% chance we don't break over 120,000 for the next bullish.
8% chance.
8%, yeah. I'd say it's a little more than 5.
No
A
9.
little less than
8,000.
No 7.
8%. $8,000.
I would
per
say
desk.
a 92% chance that we break over 150K.
8% chance of rate.
There you go.
There we go.
The numbers have spoken.
Are we doing a desk fund?
We're actually ordering another desk. We're in.
We're
talks.
ordering?
A new-
I wasn't aware of it.
Apparently, yeah. Rob already has the
Well,
invoice
I'm
ready.
not saying I haven't ordered it yet.
I saw an
I'm just
invoice
saying
already
that
somehow.
We're in talks.
Okay.
We're in the design phase, but we got a desk coming.
design phase.
We got a
We're in
desk.
the design phase. We have a desk coming. Interesting.
And nobody knew about it. Somebody's knocking at the door. Let me go check.
That's,
Wait,
you know, when things break all-time highs and numbers cross, there's, I would put it to this: there's an 8%.
We just hate paying ourselves.
There's an 8% chance we don't get a new desk, and there's a 92% chance we do get a desk.
8%.
I want you guys to know, anyone who sponsors this channel or gives us money, we don't like paying ourselves. We have not taken a single dime out of this business.
And
It's all
every
been
time we
reinvested.
bring in some money, I spend it. That's right.
That's great, yeah. So if one day Robin's
You
not
know,
part of the
we
company
need a
anymore,
new
you know
hammer.
why.
We need a new hammer. Can we get like a real
We're not doing a new
cast
hammer.
iron hammer?
I
I want
don't
to give a
know.
big shout out to our channel sponsor, Cam's Blue Wire Technology. If you want to learn how they can help your business scale and grow, visit bluewiretech.com. Guys, the crypto markets are moving. This is the time to really, really get a game plan for your portfolio. Understand what your goal is. What do you want to do? What do you want to pay off? Is it for retirement? You want to pay off your house, your car? You want to take a trip? What do you want to do with your money? What are some levels? What would you be happy with? And don't get greedy. And of course, watch Sin City Crypto, because we're bringing you all the alpha, all the talking points every single day. And with that being said, Rocco.
About Gravy Train. Did you buy any Bitcoin to this morning? A lot of FOMO going on.
Yeah, I used my dollar to buy it.
You use your dollar?
That was fast.
I know.
How many Satoshis is that right now? Any idea?
Anyways, can we go?
Okay, let's go.
Rocco, this is your cue, okay? I know Robin's your master, but
Robin's your master?
this is master. He does whatever Robin tells him. Guys, come back tomorrow. Same place, same time. Love you guys. Peace.
8% of the time. Only 8%.
Everybody know we here for entertainment and info. Gonna show you how to get that big dough. So every day stay tapped in for big facts, no capping. With Bitcoin, if you're in, then you win. We divide the pie with no fraction. It's Big Rob, David. I split the game, but they gave it. Name the coin that's your favorite. I got dry powder, why save it? To the OGs, new beginners. Special shout out to the well members. Buy a dip, sell winners. Ain't really nothing you can tell sinners. Tune in for the latest new flavors. They gonna teach us mean coins. They polarizing like barbecue
Dave
chicken
Drag
pizzas.
pulled it.
I laugh with a major grin.
What you need to do, Dave?
Robin didn't want to open the club. It's his fault.
Dave Drag pulled the cut.
Till my bags are flowing over. Hold ya to the moon and to the solar. Won't I?